Today I am going to explain such a wonderful science fiction horror movie called Sssss 1973. At the beginning of the movie we meet a scientist named Carl. He carries a very large box in his car with a man. Actually, Carl has been working on a strange kind of experiment for a few days, where he wants to transform people into snakes. And this experiment was first done on his own assistant Jack. But Jack knew nothing about this experiment. He thought that a medicine had been applied to his body to boost his immunity power. But with time his body started to change. All the skin on his body begins to peel off and snake-like marks appear. And slowly half of his body becomes like a human and half like a snake. But Carl was not at all happy with the results of this experiment. In fact, he wants to transform people completely into snakes. That's why Carl sold Jack to a circus group for some money. Since Jack had completely lost the power of speech, no one knew about his terrible experiment. And the owner of the circus was very happy to have him, because people come from far and wide to the circus to see Jack. But no one can know that he is the result of a terrible experiment. Meanwhile, Carl is worried that his first experiment has failed, and the second time he made stronger medicine for the experiment. But another person is needed to do this experiment. That's why he goes to a university. Met a professor there and said, "I need an assistant for my lab." Actually, this professor Ken, Carl's old friend. Then the professor asks him about his experiment. But Carl convinces her by lying. Means Carl says nothing about his experiment. The professor had a good student whom he wanted to send to him. Professor Ken asks Carl why he needs a new student. Carl says his old assistant has left. The professor says his student David will be perfect for this work, because he has a lot of interest in biology. At that time, David is delighted to learn that Carl's daughter Christina is a student at his university. And David agrees to be his assistant without asking anything, not knowing what is going to happen to him in the future. On his first day in the lab he learns about snake research, where each snake was tagged, indicating which snakes were dangerous. The green tag means that these snakes are not poisonous. Yellow tag means these snakes are poisonous. And the red tag means, these snakes are very dangerous, death is certain if they bite. Carl says he has anti-venom for every snake. If accidentally bitten by a snake, the venom can be easily neutralized with anti-venom. Carl then takes him to the black mamba, this snake he brought from Africa. He teaches David how to collect mamba's venom, and said mamba is a very venomous snake, one bite is enough to kill 10 people. And without anti-venom, death is certain within an hour. David was very excited about his own work. But Carl insists on giving him a vaccine first. He says it is an anti-venom. If a snake bites you by mistake you will be completely safe with this anti-venom. David agrees to his words. But he didn't know that it was his experiment. The vaccine was made from the DNA of the king cobra snake, which is a very dangerous and poisonous snake. In fact, king cobra bites cannot be cured with anti-venom. And the only enemy of his life is the mongoose. Since then, David lives with them like a family member. At night after dinner David felt something strange. His head started to hurt. Carl says it is a vaccine's normal reaction. Then Christina helps him go to the bedroom. At night David feels very hot and has strange dreams. He saw many snakes in that dream. And he can't even sleep well all night. The next morning he finds many people gathered in front of Carl's house. In fact, they all came to see Carl's scientific work. There Carl tries to collect the venom of the king cobra without any safety. Seeing this, all the people there were very impressed. But when Carl does this, nervousness appears in his face, because one mistake can lead to his death. When he gets right in front of the king cobra snake, a photographer clicks his photo. Due to the flashlight of the camera, the snake gets angry and attacks Carl. But Carl luckily survived. He then caught the snake and extracted its venom. Everyone clapped after seeing this, and donated some money and left. After a few days, David notices that the skin is starting to peel off his body. Seeing this he was very scared. Carl says it's a side effect of the vaccine, but there's no reason to panic. This means the vaccine is working well in your body. David's body changes gradually. The blood in his body has now changed to cold blood. That's why Carl asks him to wear a jacket so that his skin is protected. In the meantime, the police officer came to Carl's house, who was actually looking for team. They asked Carl about the team. Carl says he left here a long time ago. But as per the rules of investigation, they want to enter Carl's house. Carl already knew that they would find nothing here. That's why he himself took them inside the house. At that time Christina was feeding a python. Police officers also help move the python to another place. And without finding any information on team in the lab, they leave. Since then, Carl injects medicine into David's body every day. And they are the next dose of the first vaccine. David continues to take vaccines like a fool every day. And so a month passed, Carlo began to work on his experiments with great earnestness. In the meantime, David develops a relationship with Christina while staying at their home. And one day they go to another town to buy some snakes. On their way back they stop at a circus fair. They find out there is a snake-like man in the fair. David wants to see her, but Christina doesn't believe it. David nevertheless booked tickets for the two. Going inside, they find some people wearing snake costumes. In the meantime, see David's Snake Man. He was very surprised to see her. Actually, Snake Man is Team, which Carl sold to the circus troupe. Team wanted to tell him what happened to him, but he couldn't speak.